Hello everyone and welcome to Cehtra Media. I'm Cehtra, Business Development Manager at Cehtra. This podcast is dedicated to our digital tools and we have the pleasure to have with us Sandra.Martinez.bosch from our Biocides team. And Sandra is based at our Madrid offices. Discussing with our clients and from our own experience in the regulatory field, we have identified a need for digital tools that can help companies with their daily challenges to comply with specific regulations. Cehtra has been working for quite some time now to offer those tools to our clients and have already implemented several tools with success in the field of cosmetics and registrations of substances worldwide. Today, we have invited Sandra, leader of digital tools for the Biocides market, to tell us more about PRISTINE, Cehtra's latest tool dedicated to biocides project management. So welcome Sandra and thank you for joining us.
Hello Faizan and thank you for inviting me.
So tell us all about PRISTINE.
PRISTINE stands for Project Interface for Regulatory Support, Toxicological Information and Expertise, and it's a database specifically created to help manufacturers of biocidal products in the management of their projects, from research and development until the submission of the BPR dossier.
That sounds interesting. And why was PRISTINE developed? What was the idea that led its creation?
If you are working in the field of biocides, you already know that it's really important to have a BPR compliance formulation before your dossier is submitted to the authorities. And PRISTINE has the main objective to help companies with that purpose.
A BPR compliant formula. Can you explain it in more details for me and for our audience?
Yes, maybe it could be good to give you some context first. BPR defines what is called a substance of concern. A substance of concern is any substance other than the active substance which has an inherent capacity to cause an adverse effect on humans, animals, or the environment, and is present or is produced in a biocidal product in sufficient concentration to present risks of such an effect. In practice, a substance of concern could be any substance triggering the classification of the biocidal product, endocrine disruptors, substances classified as persistent organic pollutants, active substances acting as coformulants, and just to name some, right? During the preparation of our BPR dossier, we will have to identify the substances of concern contained in our products, and when relevant, consider them in the stability studies and the risk assessment. Depending on the severity of the hazard that the substance of concern has, it could affect the authorization of that biocidal product by limiting the uses, adding specific conditions of use, or risk mitigation measures. Substances of concern are especially relevant when talking about biocidal product families because if only one of the products within the family contains a substance of concern, the core formulation defined for the risk assessment will require an extension in order to cover that substance, and the number of extensions or subsets that you can apply to still meet the biocidal product family criteria is really limited. So BPR compliant formula could be that formula that ensures that you will not face any critical points during the preparation of the dossier or the studies, or you will not face any limitations in the authorization of the biocidal product. To say it in a plain way, a BPR compliant formula has substances of concern under control.
And how do you know if your biocidal products contains a substance of concern?
Well, we have several documents that guide us through the process, but you need to have a deep understanding of CLP and BPR, a good knowledge of the toxicological profile of the substances contained in your product, and expertise, especially to identify those substances with endocrine disrupting properties.
And that brings me to the last question. How could PRISTINE help companies with the identification of substances of concern?
PRISTINE has basically been designed to make this task easier. It's an easy and intuitive tool that will help companies to gather all the available information of their coformulants, raw materials, and products, and to formulate considering sustainability and BPR compliance criteria, ensuring the success of the authorization of their biocidal products. PRISTINE features three main development areas: database of substances with their hazard profile, including all the relevant endpoints needed for the identification of substances of concern within the biocidal product, and specific warnings that will help us to quickly identify any grounds of concern. Such profiles are complete by Cehtra specialists based on their expertise as toxicologists and ecotoxicologists, and based also on exhaustive bibliography, and they are regularly updated. We also have a database of raw materials that will allow us to identify their toxicological profile and link it to the specific supplier. And finally, we have a database of biocidal products where we can have full traceability of formulations and a storage of documents, and we can perform the identification of substances of concern, including endocrine disruptors, coformulants, and preparation of the reports that we need to include in the BPR dossier.
Thank you, Sandra, for your time and for answering our questions.
Thank you, Faizan.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us for this podcast. If you would like to know more about Pristine, do visit www.cehtra.com/Pristine. And if you have any specific queries related to Pristine, or if you wish to request a demo, you can send your message to sandra.martinez.bosch at Cehtra.com. Thank you once again for listening to Cehtra Media. It's time to say goodbye, but we will be back soon with another interesting podcast.